What's up, guys? This is Coach Randy. In this video, I want to talk about how to deal with a tough loss. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I really hate losing more so than I enjoy winning. And I just don't like the feeling after a tough loss. Maybe I played poorly, maybe I just didn't do well. It was a close match, and some losses are a little tougher to swallow than others. So I want to share what I call the 4 Ps. And these are the things that I find that just help me feel better after a match and be a little more productive after a tough loss. So the 4 Ps are: one is process your loss. Number two is be productive. Number three is persevere. And number four is gaining some perspective. So I'm going to talk about the 4 Ps and what they mean, and hopefully you guys find them valuable. Number one is processing your loss. First, it's really helpful to realize that failure is never a person. Don't think, oh my gosh, I lost this match, I'm a terrible tennis player. It's not you. It's usually a matter of your preparation. So what I like to do after a tough match, whether I win or lose, I usually process it and I ask myself 2 questions. What did I do well? And two is, what can I have improved on in that performance? Number one, I ask myself what I did well because I want to shift my mindset from being negative and angry or whatever into something more positive. No matter how poorly I played, usually there's at least one thing I can try to find that, like, hey, maybe I played well under pressure, I hit my forehand well, or something, or at least I didn't give up when I was getting my butt whipped. So first, try to start thinking of the positive. Second is ask yourself, what can you improve on? I think a lot of times people have the tendency to think negatively and they ask themselves questions that are very non-productive. For example, like, how could I have double faulted the match away? How could I have missed that backhand wide when it was a sitter? Or how could I have dumped that volley in the net? All these answers are not going to help you. So try to have questions that give you a more productive answer that help you improve. So for example, like, oh, what can I have done differently to get that serve in? How could I have positioned myself better to hit that shot the way I wanted to? So ask yourself what you can improve on. So that's pretty simple. Number one is process what you did well and what you can improve on. Number two is be productive. It's easy for people after a tough loss to dwell. I know when I was in high school, I smashed 3 rackets after my freshman season because just after a tough loss, I just get angry. So it's not good to stay in that headspace and to just keep beating yourself up like with a stick on your head. Get over it. Learn from your loss and use those lessons as fuel to get better, but also use those lessons to help you change something up. Like I said earlier, it's never the person, it's usually a failure of preparation. So to be more productive after your loss, try to figure out, like, those questions you asked yourself earlier. What could I have improved on? Sometimes it's the things you could have improved on that day, but oftentimes it's what you can improve on prior to that performance. Your performance is just an effect, and you can't always control that, but you can control all the ingredients that go into that day. So maybe you could have eaten better. Could you have rested a little better the day before? Could you have trained a little harder? Or maybe could you have been productive more so in the time that you did have on court? So there's a lot of things that you can change in the ingredients prior to your performance that can affect how you perform that day of. So really ask yourself what you can improve and what you can adjust in your preparation up to that day. Number three is perseverance. It's really tough sometimes after a tough loss. You just got to swallow, the bitter pill, but realize that everyone's going to lose. So don't quit. Keep moving forward. Realize that it's a part of that growing process where sometimes you have to lose and take that step back, learn from that lesson so that you can take a bigger step forward. One question that I think is good is to ask yourself, how could I make this loss more valuable than having won that match? What's that lesson that I can take from this tournament or this match so that I can use it and own it for an even bigger reward in the future, right? Start thinking what you can learn and how you can use that opportunity to become a better player, a better athlete, and just look forward to that next tournament, that next step. I remember watching Andy Murray, the first or second Wimbledon he played, in the finals and losing to Federer, right? And it was tough to watch because he was so close and he was tearing up. But I love what he said. He's like, I'm getting closer. And eventually he ended up winning Wimbledon and kind of lifting up all of Great Britain after that like 75 or 80-year drought without having won that Grand Slam. So persevere, don't quit, realize it's part of that process. The fourth and final thing is perspective. Ultimately, for me, all my games is just a sport. It doesn't define who I am. It's not the end of the world. You know, sometimes you can feel like it can ruin your whole day, but ultimately you got to compartmentalize like, hey, I just had that bad tennis match. I had that bad performance. I don't want to let it affect the rest of my life. It doesn't have anything to do with my relationships. You know, my family, they still love me. My friends, my real friends, they won't care if I lose a match. So there's a lot of other things that are great that are still going for you. Maybe you had a poor performance, but you know what? You still have great friends, great family. I have a great dog that I love no matter what. So gain some perspective. So those are the 4 P's. I hope they were helpful. I hope they help you get over any tough matches or any tough losses and help you become a better player on and off the court. So again, this is Coach Randy, and I'll see you guys next time.